Hey guys, welcome back to today's third video. Today we have Jason Kander, the Secretary of State from the state of Missouri versus Donald Trump. He was a very popular 2016 senatorial candidate from the state. Ultimately, he lost to Roy Blunt. That was a surprising loss for me. However, this state pretty much expected to have one Democratic senator and one Republican senator. So having Jason Kander having lost that seat, it would make sense for a state like Missouri being somewhat red. Considering how it was close in 2008 but drastically went to the GOP in 2016 really shows how much things have changed across the national the nationwide scale of elections. I mean, the GOP and the Democratic Party have become more and more divisive. People are less likely to vote for opposing parties, even if it means voting for someone like Roy Moore, just for example. But not everything is lost. If you look at the map, Democrats still have a possible way to victory in Republican states. States like Montana, North Dakota just take certain type of candidates the same way Obama made them close. Whereas the GOP has spots to win in states like as they did in 2016. States previously deemed safe Democrat. Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. I mean, they could win in states like Massachusetts, Virginia even. And that one isn't necessarily the safest Democrat, but if you look at it, it's not. It's more Democrat than the entire country as a whole. So, again, that state may not be safe Democrat, but Republicans have been consistently losing there. If they find a candidate who can win there, Donald Trump is not that candidate, first of all. But if they do find a candidate who could win there, someone like Carly Fiorina, Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio even, all depends on who the Democratic nominee is, but if they are able to make it competitive, it would show that they're able to win in parts of the country they previously couldn't win, even in off years like in 2017. Enough about that, though. To the prediction, going into the home state of Missouri, that one will definitely be a toss-up. You may be surprised as to who I give it to by the end of today. I'm actually going to start with something new. I'm going to fill in all these safe safe Republican seats. Down in Nebraska, one electoral vote would be a toss-up. All the toss-ups I'm actually going to fill in right now. A number of these states would be considered toss-up. I'll talk to you about Indiana in just a second. It isn't necessarily the biggest toss-up, but I'm just going to tell you why I put it in there just so I can speak about it for a second. So first of all, Jason Kander is pretty popular in the state of Missouri. One of the main reasons why he lost was because of, number one, party fatigue with Hillary Clinton being on the same ballot as him, and the fact that the state tried to become more conservative. Not tried to become more conservative, did become more conservative compared to where they went in 2012 and 28, sorry. But overall, that state made a drastic change from where they voted in 2008. Just an 8-year difference shows you how much party fatigue can really alter the course of the election. However, Trump's approval rating is very low in Missouri compared to other Republican states. States like Montana, North Dakota, Mississippi, Alabama, states like that where his approval rating is not so high, it's lower in Missouri. It's below 45% in Missouri. I believe the Morning Consult did a poll recently where his approval rating was 42% in the state of Missouri. That's not good for a president who won it by 19% over Hillary Clinton in 2016. Especially with Jason Kander coming from the state of Missouri, he would have the home state advantage. I'm sure Trump has the incumbent's advantage, but his approval rating is not reflecting that. Especially at the end of his first year. Imagine it in 2 years from now. It could be even lower, it could be higher. I don't think his approval rating is going to top 45% this entire administration. But we know that the state of Indiana, the reason why I colored that one as a battleground, I wanted to talk about it for a second. Although Mike Pence is from the state of Indiana, if Mike Pence was taken out of the factor, out of the election, Donald Trump probably would have made Jason Kander the victor in Indiana. And my reasoning behind that is this state, number one, has a lower approval rating of President Trump, as do a number of other states, but I just didn't list them as tosses because I don't think even election year it could go blue. Indiana did go blue in 2008 compared to states like Alaska, Montana, states where his approval rating is low, where you don't necessarily see them going blue in 2020. But Indiana, that one was a special case, another state that was just like Missouri in 2008. Close, had a victor of less than 2%, but overall I think that Indiana would have gone to Jason Kander. I think his appeal, the way that he grew up, everything that he stands for, although he may seem more liberal than Claire McCaskill, it resonated well with a lot of Missouri voters. If this was a midterm year, Jason Kander would have probably been demolished. Sure, election years tend to favor the Democratic Party, but he did phenomenal, not phenomenal, but considerable, considering all the factors against him, with the Trump effect and everything like that, underestimating. But he definitely did better than Hillary Clinton, per se. But I think actually going to the state of Missouri, I think he would carry the state of Missouri. Now, that's a drastic call, but he has the home state factor. I mean, he almost won a Senate seat there in 2016 when Trump won it by 19%. I mean, coming from the state of Missouri with his approval rating dipping down lower and lower every day, we have to look at this and say there has to come a breaking point where the state goes to the Democratic Party. It's not going to be Republican forever with a Trump at a 42% approval rating. They're losing their base, and either the base doesn't come out and vote or it votes for the Democratic nominee. So if Jason Kander was the Democratic nominee, I would give him those states. Now I'm going to fill in all the states Hillary Clinton won for Jason Kander. And my reasoning behind that is look at Trump's approval rating in each one of these states individually. It's not high. Compared to his national average, it may be higher in some states like New Hampshire and Nevada, but that's not necessarily that much of an achievement. Getting higher than 38% nation, which is the nationwide average, is not necessarily the best thing for a president who's only been in office for less than a year. Going over to Michigan, though, another state that I think that I just filled in Virginia, by the way. I meant to fill it in earlier, but I didn't. But the state of Virginia, Michigan, where his approval rating is extremely low, another state I think that Jason Kander would easily pick up. Just based off the way that he can appeal to the white working class, Trump's approval rating being the lowest across all three states that he won, and the state that he won by the narrowest margin in 2016. Again, all the factors against him. Going up to Iowa, I think Jason Kander could drive out the white vote for him, especially since Iowa was a previous safe Democratic state. The state of Iowa, I think, would go to Jason Kander. I mean, Jason Kander just has the right type of appeal. Everything that he talks about, the way that he speaks to the voters. I've heard him speak before. He's very passionate about what he does. Again, they saw Donald Trump as a passionate candidate for rural voters, people out in the Midwest. He cares about us. Well, Jason Kander comes from a state like you. He grew up the same way you did. Again, an advocate in the White House type appeal would definitely help him. But now I'm going to give a little silver lining for the Republicans. They win in Georgia and Arizona. I think they would win in Georgia and Arizona just because of the fact that, again, he won't be one to drive out African-American voters, but going to the Midwest, nominating someone, well, technically from the Midwest. I mean, you could argue that it's more southern. It's literally nearing the middle of the country, but I guess you could argue it's Midwest or southern, but honestly, it's the same. Not the same. It's hard to explain. I guess you can make an argument for both, but I'm going to call it Midwest for right now. But honestly, with that appeal and able to grab these voters, the white voters were the ones that really betrayed the Republican Party and then voted for Obama, and then they came back. And honestly, it was just like, who can win more white voters? Trump won it in 2016. Obama won it, especially with spiked African-American turnout. What we saw in Alabama, what we saw in Virginia, what we saw in New Jersey, probably going to come out in 2020, especially with Trump's approval rating low. And it's already low in Iowa. Going over to Nebraska, I think Jason Kander would easily win one electoral vote. Obama did in 2008. Jason Kander could easily do it. Going down to New Hampshire, North Carolina, I don't know why I confused the two. I think Jason Kander would carry that state. And my reasoning behind that is conservative voters technically vote more, but Democrats have been outperforming their turnout margins by considerable amounts. And honestly, North Carolina is probably going to be a state to flip in 2020, and with the right Democratic candidate, Jason Kander, the appeal factor, everything would work into his favor. Trump's low approval rating here, again, same thing why I'm going to call Florida for Jason Kander. Going up to Wisconsin and Pennsylvania states, I also think Jason Kander would win, but I'm going to fill in Ohio for the president, and I'm going to fill in one electoral vote from the state of Maine to the president. Again, up there, they really believed his message. Jason Kander wouldn't necessarily have the best appeal coming from a state like Missouri up in Maine, but he would in Nebraska. But the Wisconsin and Pennsylvania calls, those are two states, again, with the white working class, turning out more white voters for the Democratic Party. Easy victory for them. So 339 electoral votes for Jason Kander to 199 for Donald Trump. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see you all later today.